You know how it is when you record a 26-minute video and then when you get ready to turn it into something to put up on YouTube, you realize you didn't have the sound turned on? Yeah, well, that's how it was with me. This is not the polished final product. I've started to play Cleric. I'm working on him. I'm comfortable at keeping a tank up in a group. I'm comfortable going out and killing a few mobs in Overthere, or maybe undead in Eastern Wastes, but I haven't spent real time in groups trying different solo things, trying stupid stuff, getting myself killed, getting irritated. I haven't done that yet, so this is not the polished product. This is the beginning product. So if you're looking for the polished final Cleric project, stop now, come back in a couple weeks. I'll have a video up and I will tell you what I'm doing after I've finished everything. Probably I'm going to split some things up. I'm going to consolidate some things. I'm going to shift some things around. I may have different spells that I'm using. This is more of, hey guys, I'm working on a Cleric now. I said I would. And if you see something I'm doing wrong, hey, let me know. Put a comment. Or if you say, hey, have you tried this? Or this hotkey works wonders for me. Or go out and try X and see how it works for you. So let's start on what I'm doing right now. This is kind of a base lineup. My spell sets are messed up, but whatever. So here's my basic heal set. Okay, finally. And then what I would call is my basic utility. I've already paired some stuff out that I did not find worthwhile. May change my mind as I play some. I've got the two basic auras up. There's not a lot of thought that goes into what auras to run as a cleric. You can only run two and you only have two. The one that gives you hit points, it's wonderful, it's great, I love it. The one that gives you a little bit, absorbs 4% of incoming melee strikes. That sounds like, okay, hey, 4% is 4%, but up to a maximum value of 1278. So say you get hit with 25,000 hit points. 1% of 25,000 is 2,500. Yeah, no, that's not going to be worth much. What you want to run, if you can, is Shining, which gives you 10% of incoming melee damage. There is no cap, and it also has this stun that lashes out occasionally. Much better, much better. So if you've got this points and you feel like you need a little extra buffer, this is better than almost most heals, 10%. So that 25,000 hit point we're talking about, this would be 2,500 hit points off the top. And isn't that for all of the attacks? It's cheap mana, casts fairly quickly. I find it well worthwhile. And then we've got your reverse damage shield. That's about 2,500 DPS. And it does some heals. There's no limit on this. I think it's well worth it. I put it on just about every mob. It's also a nice little tool to pull with. Anticipate it, intercalculation, puts a ward. If you have a melee strike larger than 31,000 hit points, which in COV is not that uncommon, it's going to heal you for up to 50,000 points, or up to 60,000 if you're below 20% health. Instant, quick. It's worth refreshing in between pulls. Retort. I kind of like this. Little heals when striking, extra damage, heals. You know, it's not that much. You can cast that. So these are my kind of utility spells in here. And then promised. Let's see. Okay, well first, I like this Word of Greater Replenishment in the group game where you don't have to worry about cures. If you're raiding, there are times when you can't use cures. And there are certain missions. I don't know of any modern missions, but if you go back to TBM where you didn't want a cure, but now pretty much keep this memmed all the time. If you get iced, one hit of this and one hit of one of your cures will usually do it. Or you can memorize, you know, expurgate it if you want. Then I have Ward of Righteousness and Composite Blessing. The beauty of these are they're beefy equivalent of heals, and they're fast. So I don't tend to use them in my bind for healing, though a lot of people do. I like to keep them in reserve for quick heals when I need it. We'll go into how I cast my heals. So now we've got, okay, this is all of your burn stuff. Look at burns when it comes to a cleric other than improved twin cast, perhaps channeling divine. It's just not fun. We can discuss it, but you hit them here. There's nothing fancy. There's no special way to do it that I know of. Somebody else might tell me different. This is all here. You can use it. As I said, this is my Z Hotbar. I use this for all of my tunes with some variation. The only tune who has no use for this whatsoever is my bard. And I've closed it out on the bard because he's using melodies. But the nice thing about this is when it's key binding in effect, but instead of binding it to specific keys in the spell bar, you can just drop whatever spell you want to cast in here and they will cast the spells first. But in between spells, any of your kind of mash keys you can throw in there. It's pretty nice. Now this is if I want to heal. And I said there's many ways to heal. But one way is to just hit the Z key. Let's see, make sure I target myself. This is not great because I have interventions memmed, which do, you know, they heal your target and they nuke your target's target. Well, I don't have a target right now, so. But the Z key, yeah, merciful. And you notice they've got Divine Guardian, put that on me. Spire went down, Yalp, Sincere Remedy, Merciful Remedy. So you've got, you know, this is one way to do it. This is not kind of how I do all my heals. I use this bar for other things. For instance, say I'm in a group situation where I'm not healing constantly because it's a beefy tank. Then I might memorize my live DPS set. And that's a quick mem. There we come. Ah, lag. Okay, as I was saying, the nice thing about this kind of a setup is you're not bound by a particular cell set. So I can do one. This is when I want to just focus on healing. But here is for my live mob setup. and I'm using contravention. So this would be a situation where I don't need to heal constantly. I can target the mob and I can add some DPS. Against a live mob, we're talking 50,000 DPS, maybe 60,000 DPS, if that's what you're doing. And a little light healing with your contraventions. And you can set this up any way you want. I have Sincere Contravention, the Merciful Contravention, Unyielding Censure, which does do a twin cast heal. I'm doing it for the damage, Injunction, and Chroma Flare. And that will just let you nuke continuously, and you'll do about 50,000 DPS against live mobs, give or take, 5 or 10,000. Now, if you're fighting undead mobs, I would load my undead spell set, and we'll see if that takes as long as. So, and then I would go to my third bar because I have a slightly different rotation when I have an undead here. So obviously I'm using Obliterate the Undead, Unyielding Censure, but the order I use is Sincere Contravention, Merciful Contravention, Nuke Heal, Obliterate the Undead, Beefy Undead, Nuke, and then Unyielding Censure, which will give me Twin Cast. Not really taking advantage of the Twin Cast unless I need to do a quick heal. It's Serendipity. But I also have memmed Sermon of Injunction, which I'd cast separately, and that's a 42,000 damage every 6 seconds. It's a wonderful dot when you're working with the dead. I have Turn Undead in here. So this is my undead bank. Depending on what I have memmed, what I'm doing, if I'm focusing on healing, I might have it like this. Or if I want to, have a bunch of utilities there, something I can do. Because as I said, I have multiple ways to heal. These 4 spells, I have keybound, where I hit one key and it will go Sincere Intervention, Merciful Intervention, Sincere Remedy, Merciful Remedy. This is different than my Z key. It's a P in this case. So say I'm nuking, but then I could shift, got another key. So you've got, say this is your mob, and this is your tank. You can switch back and forth very quickly with one key, go to your targeting keys and figure out what you want. So you could nuke, heal, nuke, heal. In that case, I would have the Z bar set to my nukes, ZZZ, I'm nuking, ZZZ nuking, go back to the tank and hit the P key, I'm healing. Also, I have K casts Promised, and then if I hit it again, actually I don't have that memorized now because let's do this. Yeah, here we are. I sacrificed to give me an extra, that was where my dot went. What's supposed to be there is Elixir. So I like Elixir. It lasts for a minute and a half. It's 11,500 some hit points every 6 seconds. An awful lot of your utilities are like, if this mob hits you, it heals so much, etc. Forget all that. I just like to use my Elixir. Promise Redemption and Elixir are bound together because I don't have to refresh Elixir as often as I do Promise. So I hit Promises up. When that goes down, you can refresh it. Now here's why I use Promise. I used to never use Promise. I thought it was a ridiculous delayed heal. Why have a delayed heal when you can have an instant heal? But we have an AA now. And I haven't even maxed that AA yet. It's Promised Interposition. Basically, if you have that promise up and they're hit by a target that does 15,000 or more damage, which in COV happens all the time, you're going to get a nice juicy heal. I only have on this particular tune on my Cleric 4 out of 8, and it's 13,000. It's going to go 20,000. I don't know what it is. I think it'll be around 50,000 or something when I finish out. And so it's not just a delayed heal, it's also a promise to heal instantly if your tank needs it. So I do use promised. I like it. I don't use promised on my merc healers. Okay, and then as I said, okay, J does my fast keys. These are very fast specialty type heals, and so I can you know, P does my standard heals, K does my delayed heals in effect, or heal over time, and then J does these fast specialty heals. We go down here. This bar is my primary bar. If somebody in the group needs healed, I don't need to target them. I just hit my one key, and it's going to do Divine Arbitration. If that's down, it's going to do my Epic. If that's down, it will do this group heal. If that's down, it will cast 11. Word of Greater Replenishment, which is a 2.7 second heal, slow. But that's assuming, you know, most of the time you're not going to do constant healing other people. Because remember, you've got this in. You can cast this individually if you feel it's needed, just from area of effect, etc. But you also have this fast heal. And then this is kind of my tank heal, Burst of Life. These are when I want heals right away. 12 and 13, again, these are very fast heals, so I've got them there. Divine Arbitration and Superior Divinity. If they're up and I haven't been using them, which a lot of time I haven't, then there's another fast heal. So those are quick, fast heals when the tank is down to 20% and I'm like, oh, you know, let's just get it out. Hit the 2, we're done. Heal other, I don't use that very often, but that would be if I want to give somebody mana, or there's an individual who's just getting too much aggro. I hit that. I can do it a second, Blessing of Sanctuary, and they're off. I don't want to use this for the tank because I don't want to mess with his aggro. That would piss him off. So this is just, I told you there's many ways to heal as a cleric. And this is one way I've got. Refresh. When I'm doing utilities, this will refresh the utilities. So let's just look at that real quick. And nothing's really quick when you have the kind of lag I have right now. I guess what it's telling me is I need to log and reboot. Eight, 7, 2. So if you hit those fairly quick, generally they'll all go off. Or you can do it individually, whatever works for you. Cure target. Cure the group. Cure self. In all cases, it finally defaults to Word of Greater Replenishment, which is a cure. Regular invis to undead. Divine Peace. I always put my get out of jail card type thing, your Death's Effigy or Feign or whatever, Drape of Shadows, whatever class you're playing is always going to be the equal sign. Invis is always the 0 sign, though usually it's regular invis, but Cleric doesn't have regular invis. I could flip it. And then Sanctuary is another kind of save your ass type situation in that it will heal you a lot. So if you're getting aggro and you're going down in health instantly, you hit this and you're no longer the target. Just don't attack or do whatever you were doing. Just stop a moment and gather yourself. So that's this bar. Of course, I've always got it set up so shift 2, 3, 4, where I put all my trash. You know, you've got so much stuff you'd like to use, and just hide that away. This is going to be less used, you know, celestial regeneration, focus, regeneration. Exquisite benediction, ward of purity. You can do one or the other. Mana recovery, plus they're also heals or dual purpose spells. Your divine aura, bestow divine aura. Group invised undead. Blessed chains, very nice. Repel the wicked. You can also combine those, like you hit chain. Blessed chains is a root, so you root the mob, repel the wicked. It's going to boot him away and blur his memory, and he will be there rooted. And sometimes that'll give you a little bit of time if you want, or you can just do one or the other. Holy Step, you know what that is. And then Saints Unity, what a joke of a unity. It is one buff. It saves you a spell slot. Tranquil Blessing, Mass Buff, etc. This is more gates and ports, easy to use. You have to, every time you die, you've got to refresh that. I have split up my lamps here because I have room, and that way you can see what it is at each time. Of course, primary anchor, secondary anchor, Cobalt Scar, Fellowship, Mount, and Journeyman Boots. Yeah, what a joke. But I've got them, so I don't know. They're there. Don't know why. I don't think they necessarily help me. So this is my initial working setup. It's conformed to the style that I choose for all of my tunes so that I can have familiarity when I play multiple tunes. It's a work in progress, and I'm not dealing with the raid element right now. I've raided on a cleric. I kind of know what's going on there, and when I have finalized my setup, as much as I ever finalize a setup, then I will do a video in which I go into, here's my setup, here's my final setup, here's what I do, here's the various, spell lists. For instance, I will probably get a bank going where I can quickly memorize any of my spell lists. I have not done that yet. This is a work in progress. This cleric has a lot of work. He is a mixture of TOV Tier 1 gear, and as you can see, there are empty slots, lots of empty slots, up to COV Tier 2 gear. I'm going to be replacing a lot of this gear, getting things. He's got the Hammer of Obliteration memmed right now. That is the summoned hammer, and the fact is you do more DPS if you're swinging that summon hammer than you will with what is his main weapon, which is Velium Threaded Halberd. It is COV Tier 2, nice base damage. It's got a much better ratio, but because of the proc rate of the summoned hammer, you will do about twice the DPS against undead, and significantly. So let's just say that against undead, just meleeing, I'll do 20,000 DPS with the Hammer of Obliteration. With the Halberd, I might do 10,000 DPS. Against a live mob, it might be a little closer in that I'm only doing 17,000 DPS because this proc does more against undead. and I might do 12,000 DPS with the hammer. So when I am meleeing, which is almost always, because you might as well give yourself that additional benefit, I will often have the summon hammer obliteration. I also have the divine invulnerability hammer for certain kinds of soloing. I will be doing some more of that. It's not effective really in Eastern Waste. I've done it. You can do it. You can do it against the cold gals. You can also do it traditionally with, say, a tank. So the variety of ways to solo is, of course, if you find a bunch of light blue, low-level mobs, then you can do divine invulnerability, mass swarming. Fairly effective. So you're talking maybe Charduck, undead and Charduck. It's a possibility. Eastern Waste not effective, but you could go traditional there. Or if you go drop down in between, Ring of Scale, maybe you're talking a rogue mercenary and using him for the DPS and killing mobs about 1 a minute. I'll include a video clip that'll show you me and Overthere using this setup with a rogue, my Lizardman Brawler. It's a rogue mercenary. And so you'll get an idea of what that is. I'm going to be trying a lot of things in the next few weeks with the Cleric as I refamiliarize myself with him and get comfortable with this setup. So yeah, there's a little bonus footage at the end, which is me soloing Overthere, using this setup. Watch it, whatever. If you have some advice, some tips, comments, I welcome them. This is very much a work in progress. Not the final video on clerics. Thanks again. Talk to you guys later. Bye.